to the fight, or did you go from the airport to the venue?
I'll tell you about that real quick, which is a funny story in itself. But you guys say like I picked the worst fighting like options available. I honestly didn't know I had a chance. You know,
or a choice.
It was a way out.
Yeah, that was just it. That's what it was.
It's like, okay, you're going.
Yeah. Hopefully the plane gets lost.
I'm a rule follower. Like, you know, if my dad says I got to do it, that's what I have to do. So we get to New York. I meet, who were the two guys? The other Americans were Zane Frazier
and Joe Charles.
Ghetto Man Joe Charles. So I got to meet them, and they were fun guys. We get on the plane to Israel, and I'm still sick. Honestly, you guys don't know how hard I hit it the night before. This is midday. And
I bet you he stank. I bet you during the fight, the fighters are going, man, he might be still drinking. I bet you it was coming out of your pores.
Well, maybe. I agree. I wouldn't put it past me. But so we get on the plane, and Zane and Joe were able to talk the flight attendants into letting them get first class seats. So they're up front, like relaxing. I'm back there with all the peasants and, you know, really slumming it out and sick as a dog. I threw up on the plane. We finally land in Israel. It's probably 5:00 at night. And we get off the plane, and we're going through security. And like I said, there's people with machine guns all over.
It's an intense security checkpoint. Yes.
Yes. And I swear these kids are 15 years old with machine guns sitting around. It's not like old people. It was weird. So we end up getting in a van with the other fighters, the Russians, which was Maxim Tarasov and Igor Vovchanchin and all these people. And for some reason, this is probably 12 hours after my drinking binge, we started driving, and we're going to go to the hotel. And so we're driving to the hotel, and the guy's like hitting the gas and then slamming on the brakes, hitting on the gas. And I'm like, listen, guys, I tell the translator, like, I got to get out. So in the middle of a highway in Israel, I get out of the car, this van with all the guys I'm going to fight, and I'm throwing up. And I hear these Russians like, whatever they're saying, but I know they're saying, I hope I get this fucker first round. And
I gotta be honest with you, Nick. I've actually done that the day of a fight too, but
okay,
it wasn't my fight; it was my show.
Yeah, you were the promoter.
Yeah.
So we get to the hotel.
Career, but let's encapsulate the indie grind. So Josh had roughly about 100 amateur fights. That includes a win over Houston Alexander.
He was huge.
Exactly. That's how fucking nuts Josh is.
Yeah.
So,
I was drunk too.
You were what?
You were what?
I was drunk. I was drunk when we fought.
Was that one of those? Was that one of those where you just showed up there and they're like, yeah, I'll fight. You weren't even supposed to fight. Was that one of those?
Yeah, it was kind of like I got into an argument with Chad Mason, who was the promoter, and I was drunk. I had a keg at my house that night, and so I came to the fights not even planning on fighting. But we got into an argument about something. He was like, I'll have Houston beat your ass. And I was like, all right, well, let's fight then. You know, I was drunk. I don't care. I'm ready to fight. You know, I was like, you got to pay me though. And so he's like, oh, I'll pay you. He's like, I'll give you $500 if you fight him. And so that's how I ended up fighting him. He gave me $500. So, all right, let's do it.
This is why we love the indie scene. So fast forward through his pro career and the indie grind.
How's that?
Actually ended up going to a Kia hospital to get stitches because the night before me and Boss Root were screwing around, and he ended up throwing me through a glass window, and we're drunk as shit. I guess I bit him on the shoulder. I don't remember. We were fucking and so he throws me through this glass window, and like I think it was 2 stories up or something, and I hit the snow, and I got a piece of glass about the size of the end of a hockey stick sticking out of me. I'm like, oh, that's gonna need stitches.
Oh
And
man.
so, yeah, I had to go to this fucking hospital, and oh my god, I literally, it was like going back to the 1930s. I'm not 50s, 30s. Okay, like it was this doctor with a Chef Boyardee hat comes at me with stitches that look like hockey strings, like literally hockey laces, and I was like, wow, the adventure continues. And,
And that was before your fight? That was the night before the fight?
No, that was after. I only
Okay,
get that.
okay.
I only got super drunk after the fight. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I used to work at Papa John's Pizzeria. Me and my buddy James Terry, we both used to work there. Like I said, he's a James Terry, James the Intensity Terry. He was Kung Lee's main training partner for
Really?
like a decade. Yeah, really good fighter. He still fights at Bellator. Anyway, we were hanging out. We were at some Rage in the Cage. Me, Joey Rivera. Who else was there? Dave Klein was there. You can ask Dave. He knows. So we were wasted, and we get back to my apartment, and I call Papa John's, and we used to use this free pizza coupon code to get free pizza, and it worked every time. I didn't even work there anymore, but every time I called, they give me a free pizza because I kept using this code. Well, this guy was a real smart ass, and he retorted back to me, well, what do you have, a free pizza coupon for the whole world? And we got into it. I'm like, yeah, you still at the shop? He's like, yeah, I'm here. What are you going to do about it? I'm like, I'll be right there, motherfucker. And so my girlfriend at the time is trying to stop me. And I drive down there in the truck I had right in Tempe. And I park the truck. I go in there and I'm looking for the guy. They're like, he's out. I'm like, well, fuck that guy. Fuck you. And I take the computer, I smashed the computer on the floor. I ended up breaking the door because they had it locked. So I broke the door down. I get back in my truck and the fucking guy comes back on a delivery, and then he's fucking chasing me around the parking lot, and I'm in my fucking truck. He parks in front of the fucking Papa John's, and I'm behind him as he was chasing me, but now I'm behind him. So I take my truck and I just fucking throttle it. I fucking ram his fucking car through the fucking Papa John's fucking storefront. And then I'm like, oh, fuck.
This is reasonable so far.
Yeah.
The guy was,
This
wait,
is
hold
totally
on.
reasonable.
Joe, the guy was mouthing off to you on the phone. These internet kids, they got to understand sometimes you can get touched.
Exactly.
Go ahead, I apologize.
Go learn today.
Yeah.
I do want to point out
Whoa.
that free pizza went to a very expensive pizza in a hurry, huh?
Yeah, it was very expensive.
So how does this end? This is
I
fantastic.
tried. I'm like, fuck. So I get over a curb, and over the curb, I end up popping a tire, and I can already hear freaking police sirens, right?
Turn that car off. Throw the keys away.
And I'm like, fuck. So I just turn around
Reported
back
stolen.
in the parking lot.
Run.
Dude, I pull back around in the shopping mall, and I just pull the keys out. Cops pull up. I just get out, hands on my head already, like, okay, you got me. And they charged me with freaking ag assault with a deadly weapon. I'm like, fuck. So I had to deal with that bullshit for a while.
Yeah. All right.
But
That's a cool story, though. That
It's
is a
not
cool
really your fault. If you really think about it, the kid,
it's
Should've
pretty
just done
much
his
my
job.
fault.
He was,
Man,
he was antagonizing
talk about
you, Your Honor.
anger issues, man. Come on. That's completely my fault. Total
That's an
unchecked.
awesome story, though, dude. I love
It's
it.
an awesome
I don't
story.
think
though. I mean,
so.
it was worth it.
I
That ain't your
know. I'm
fault.
sure it's not, but it's still cool.
That probation that I was on that ended up getting me violated was the reason they took Kenny Florian for the first Ultimate Fighter, because I was supposed to be in Kenny Florian's spot.
Oh, no.
But I was in fucking jail at the time on a domestic violence, like criminal damage thing that wasn't even really domestic violence. But yeah, man, once you get snake bit by law, you gotta be careful.
Once
be
you're
very
in the
careful.
system, it's like it's
It's
hard to
hard.
get out.
It's hard to get out of the system.
Yeah.
I
You
agree.
gotta be careful.
I agree.
So Miguel, like he mentioned Shu Harada earlier, obviously a friend of ours. And Shu actually had a couple Japanese guys staying at Strasser with Strasser's gym. One of them is a 50 Fight Club member, Yusuke Kamigawa, who's got about 60, 70 fights himself.
He's got that many fights? So
He's got a lot. It's either him or Daisuke. Which one of those two have got a shitload of fights?
Well, I don't remember his real name, but there was 13.
That's Daisuke.
Everybody called him 13. I
That's
don't know his real name.
Daisuke. I think Daisuke's the one. I might be confused on that. I think you might be right.
Yeah. He had a lot of fights, so he's probably the 50 Fight Club. Socho, who is Yusuke Kawagama, I wouldn't bet that he had that many.
No, I don't think he does. I think it's Daisuke. It's 13. I made a mistake.
And then the other guy was what's his name that fought in UFC that actually took Strasser's last name. Even after his last fights in the UFC, only like maybe a year ago, he still had Strasser in his name being announced in the UFC. So Strasser had that big of effect on this guy who lived at his gym for a few months.
Dude, what's his name?
Strasser.
Kichi Strasser. it was Kichi. I can't remember what his real last name was because he went by Strasser. But
so none of these guys, they fought on one of my cards in Chicago too. None of these guys spoke any English at all, like as in zero. Yeah. And they're stuck in Racine, Wisconsin with these guys that are just absolute Vikings.
So here's a good story. So Socho stayed the longest. That's Yusuke Kawagama. He stayed the longest. He stayed for almost 2 years, I think. So he started to pick up English, and then we'd bring him out to hang out with us when we'd go.
Where would he live at?
He lived at Strasser's house.
Okay.
Or like he would stay at Strasser's, Jamil's, whoever would take him in. You know, he was kind of just like he was a Ronin when it came to living. He just went wherever.
Was he a good workout partner?
Huh?
Was he a good workout partner?
Yeah. He was a black belt in judo, so he was good with teaching us takedowns, and we tried to teach him boxing and stuff like that. But he was I loved that guy. He was a really cool guy. It was really good experience. Having I don't know if it was a good experience for him, but it was a good experience for me having him here. I really enjoyed it. But so one night we're all going out in Milwaukee. There's like some MMA awards show going on at some club in Milwaukee. And so we're all going to meet at Sergio's place because Sergio lived right outside of Milwaukee in like Oak Creek at the time. And
so you're talking about WEC fighter Sergio Gomez. Yes.
So Sergio Gomez is pro Second Amendment. Is saying that very conservatively. You walk into his house and there's a loaded gun under every pillow. You go open up the toilet seat to take a piss. There's a loaded shotgun.
He's got drop guns. He's got drop guns.
Just in case.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Just in case. So in Japan, guns are illegal. Some rich people have them, but basically you don't have guns. But airsoft pistols are very popular in Japan. So just to give you a little context to the story, a little backstory. So Socho is sitting in Sergio's apartment. Sergio just got done cleaning his Glock. Now, Sergio, if you ask Sergio, there's no point in having a gun's not good unless it's loaded. So there's no point in having a gun that's not loaded. So he's got his Glock loaded that he just got done cleaning, sitting on his couch, on the armchair of his couch. Now, Socho, who's never seen a real gun before in his life, picks the gun up, not knowing it's a gun. He thinks it's an airsoft pistol. He points it at Jamil's head. Jamil starts freaking out because Jamil knows it's a real gun and is loaded. So he's like, no. So then Socho points the gun onto Sergio's couch cushion and fires it off. Sergio lives on the second floor of an apartment building.
Ooh.
Sergio freaks out. He runs downstairs to his neighbors.
You got to leave.
And
you just leave.
He plays stupid, like, did you guys hear that? And his neighbor's like, yeah, I heard something. He's like, is everybody okay? And his neighbor's like, yeah, we're fine. What was that? He's like, yeah, I don't know. I heard it too.
Oh, Mike, it was from their apartment and not his.
Yeah. Well, you guys
What are you guys doing down here?
You guys,
It's either that or you got to go. You just
We
leave.
got a Japanese guy upstairs. You guys need to keep it down. Show some respect to the foreigners. Come on. So,
What?
Socho's crying. He's scared to death. He has this call Shu. He's telling Shu he wants to go home, not home to like Strasser's house, home to Japan. So he's just told.
So you
like,
guys had
He's
to
dishonored
translate the
himself.
shoe. You guys had to translate the shoe. What took place?
Yes. So here's the only good part. The only good part is Sergio didn't have a full metal jacket in there. So if it was a full metal jacket, it would have went through. It would have went through into the first floor. Might have hit somebody down there. So that was the only good part about this story, about the shooting story. Now the story gets better though. So Socho's crying and he wants to go home. We're about to go out and have fun. So we're like, this ain't happening. You're not going home. Nobody died. We're fine. So Sergio's got a bottle of tequila, the good stuff. So I start feeding it to Socho. After a few shots, he relaxes. We go out. We have a good time. We have such a good time, and Socho's so relaxed. By the time we get back to Sergio's apartment, we're having Socho take pictures with Sergio's AR.
This ain't so bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all is well. Nobody got hurt, thank God.
That's
Wow.
nice. That's a good one. Hey, can I toss out a name?
Coleman entered into the UFC Hall of Fame. I saw Wes there, but I didn't see you in the audience.
You know that story? Do you know that story? Can I tell
I
this
have no
story?
idea. No, what happened?
So we were at they had that Ray Mendoza thing the night before. So I haven't seen Randleman in years, and me and Randleman pick up right where he left off, and I had a couple buddies there, and his son was there, and we're out and about. Then we're at this club, and then he had a fight coming up. My dad had gotten sick. My dad was getting sick. He had like a form of dementia and stuff. I really couldn't go anywhere, and so Randleman was like, "You need to come out to Vegas. I got to fight. I'm going to pay you this." And he would have. He would have been overly generous. And I was, instead of just saying, we're having drinks, instead of just saying, yeah, for sure. And then, the next day, I'll just say, no, whatever. I just was like, no, I can't go. And, he was getting, and like things went to another. So we were kind of like, like, fuck you. I know how it goes with your buddies and stuff like that. So then finally, like, we whatever happens. And the next morning, I'm like, dude, I ain't going to that fucking, listen, if Coleman ain't fighting, plus there was like a lack of tickets and stuff. So I was like, give my ticket to somebody. And the funniest story about this is, so everyone's sitting there and Coleman's not worried about it. Like, he's got his family there, and Coleman goes, somebody come, I think it was Wes maybe. Wes comes up and he goes, I don't think Hank and Randleman are going to make it to the show. And he goes, why not? He goes, they were fighting in the streets at 5 a.m. last night. And Coleman goes, who are they fighting? He goes, each other. And Coleman goes, that sounds about right.